You're about to listen to the Dr. Dahlia Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Dahlia Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Dahlia.
Welcome back to the Dr. Dahlia Show, 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So we lost Reverend Jesse Jackson, Baptist minister and two-time presidential candidate, propelling the civil rights movement and being one of the main figures after the assassination of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and he left us today at the age of 84. According to his family, they said in a statement, our father was a servant leader, not only to our family, but to the oppressed, the voiceless, and the overlooked around the world. Reverend Al Sharpton said in a statement that our nation has lost one of the greatest moral voices, paid tribute to the man who carried history in his footsteps and hope in his voice. Cause of death has not been immediately given. Jackson's family said he died peacefully, surrounded by his loved ones. He was admitted, I believe, to the hospital back in November. He had been living with progressive supranuclear palsy, which we spoke about, affecting one's ability to walk and swallow. Can cause serious complications if you can't eat or if you're aspirating into the lungs. We also had spoken a while back about him dealing with Parkinson's. He was diagnosed, or he revealed that he had Parkinson's back in 2017, and he was, I believe, treated for a few years and then became very open and public about his condition. And he was born in Greenville, South Carolina, rose to prominence in the civil rights era, participated in demonstrations alongside Martin Luther King. And then he ran for, in addition to all the work he did, he ran as the Democratic presidential, for the Democratic presidential nomination in 1984 and 1988. As we get many more information, we'll definitely share that with you. But Reverend Jesse Jackson died at 84. May he rest in peace. We also lost this weekend Robert Duvall. Robert Duvall, Oscar winner, known for Godfather, Apocalypse Now, died at his home in Middleburg, Virginia. He was 95 years old. I don't believe we have a cause of death either, but according to his wife, Luciana, she said, yesterday we said goodbye to my beloved husband, cherished friend, and one of the greatest actors of our time. Bob passed away peacefully at home, surrounded by love and comfort. To the world, he was an Academy Award-winning actor, director, storyteller. To me, he was simply everything. His passion for his craft was matched only by his deep love for characters, a great meal, and holding court. And so, it's not easy when you see people, from your past and people you revere and just gone. And I watch these videos on, these videos pop up. I don't want to watch them, but I'm on Facebook, and there are these videos of cast members. They're all AI generated, but there are these videos of, let's say, I Love Lucy cast members or Friends or whatever. And you see them, when they were that age and then the age they are now. And some of them are still alive. Like I think Ed O'Neill is in his 80s. I think I just saw a Married with Children one. And you see Christina Applegate, and you see what their age was in the show, like 19, and then you see what their age is now. She's in her 50s, and you see how they look then and now. Some of them look absolutely fantastic, some don't, and then some have wings on them, angel wings, to suggest that they passed. And these videos go viral. I think they're sad and depressing, but I also think they're beautiful. And that, you see, somebody's former self reuniting with their current self and how they aged. But, as a doctor, maybe it's because I know too much, seeing the aging process and seeing we don't really teach each other how to handle the next journey. It's all about the here and now. And different religions will guide people, but the average person doesn't necessarily get that training on, how do we prepare for our next journey? This is life. You have one life to live, and then you're gone, and it's done. And that's not easy for people to handle. I think that's a root of a lot of people's mental struggles because they think at any moment it's over. And that does happen in this world in death. You get hit by a bus, you get shot, it's over. And when you lose a loved one, you can't get that second back. And in fact, when I heard that my friend died, I immediately wanted to call him and text him. I mean, I'm a doctor. I understand he's dead, but it's like I feel like I want to talk to him. I mean, the loss is just so sudden. It's just so even when you have a family member that's struggling chronically, and then they finally say their goodbyes, it's abrupt. But I find solace, and the reason why I could still have a positive attitude is because I think there's a whole new world following this. There's a whole new journey in heaven. Now, some people could say, but Dr. Dahlia, you being a doctor, don't you look at death as, the way things happen at anesthesia, where as soon as you get your propofol and you're out. And then, you wake up and you're like, what happened? Like blink sleep, where you just blinked and really I was asleep. I don't believe that because I do feel my father. I do feel people who have passed. In fact, when my friend died last week, I didn't know until later in the week or the following weekend, but he was in a dream of mine, just kind of standing there in a dream of mine. I'm like, why would I be thinking about him? Why? Well, that ended up being the same day he died. And so I can't expect you all to have the same sort of experiences or have the same faith and the same thought process as I do. But if there is life after death and a whole nother dimension through heaven or hell, but hopefully heaven for us, we might need to talk about the transitioning. We don't want people killing themselves, and we don't want people doing stupid things that could cause themselves to die. We want, you here on this earth and living as long as possible. But I think people panic so much that it's all over, that we spoke about when you look at the many, reasons some people commit suicide. One reason is they want to have the control. They are so fearful of it happening, and they want to have that control. And maybe we need to do a better job of talking about how this process happens and what to expect. 1-877 Doc Dolly. Don't go away.
This is an urgent announcement for anyone that's $10,000 or more in debt. Before you make another minimum payment, you need to know there are special programs that can completely free you of your debt. Total Financial Freedom can help you become debt-free in months instead of years. Resolve your credit card debt, signature loans, department store cards, internet loans, and timeshares. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020 for a free consultation. For 16 years, Total Financial Freedom has helped thousands get out of debt. You can feel confident when calling because Total Financial Freedom is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. Battling for years and years stuck in the endless cycle of minimum payments could take decades. You have the right to get your debt resolved and substantially reduce your monthly payments. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020. That's 800-878-6020. 800-878-6020.
Increase fuel economy up to 7.9% with Hot Shot Secret Gasoline Extreme, the solution to maximize your engine's performance and fuel economy. Whether you're driving a sports car or a daily commuter, Gasoline Extreme is specially formulated with PEA to deep clean. Don't settle for an average driving experience. Upgrade to Hot Shot Secret Gasoline Extreme and go further on each tank. Order now on Amazon or HotShotSecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
Hi guys, Dr. Dahlia here. Addictions can sneak up on us and come in many forms. Whether it's drugs, alcohol, sex, video games, porn, or something less obvious such as food, internet, or shopping, addiction can seem innocent at first and then evolve into an insurmountable evil. In our book, Addiction Basics, Caitlin Kalikas and I dive into the common addictions and provide tips for identifying and preventing these before they sneak in and take over our lives. Addiction Basics can be found on Amazon or my website, drdahlia.com. Check it out. Welcome back to the Dr. Dolly Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Dr. Dolly, 1-877-DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer. And big thanks to y'all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Dahlia, Facebook, The Dr. Dahlia Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. So this AI apocalypse, everybody is panicking that they won't have jobs, or kids won't have jobs, or grandchildren won't have jobs because everything's going to be run by AI. Or Iron Man's Jarvis, or somebody overseas, because we don't need to necessarily have somebody face to face. We could use somebody remotely, and with AI and computers allowing there to be hardly any person to person interaction. And it's freaking people out, and it's really making people nervous. People think, Dr. Dahlia, yeah, but you're good. You're a doctor. Oh, no. I'm going to be one of the first replaced by AI. The transition to telemedicine that a lot of insurance companies are having patients do to save money because of how much people spend on a face-to-face interaction, going, I'm examining you for your blood pressure, but you got a mole on your back that could be skin cancer. Let's get that addressed. So with telemedicine, if we can't see you because we're only, talking to you over a telephone, it's a very, very, small, it's a much smaller step to go from telemedicine to an AI medical evaluation than what we've done, where it was just, it was scripture where you had to see a doctor. You had to get examined. You had to be touched. You had to be talked to. We had to hold your hand. We had to now we're doing medicine over the phone. That it's only just a hop, skip, and jump till where we get to now a point where patients will have a computer interface, give the computer interface their medical issues, answer the questions, and then the computer says, this is your diagnosis. And a lot of telemedicine companies are already using AI, and they're already giving suggested diagnoses. Some of them are right on the money. Some of them aren't, but some of them are right on the money. And we're already seeing in radiology, AI is enhancing the doctor's ability to look at mammograms, and, AI is helping the surgeon. And so true, if you're doing hands-on work, you'll still be protected. But if most of what you're doing is thinking and mental, AI is going to, I can't think of a profession where AI will not limit jobs. Now, people say, well, then that's good. We're going to need fewer mechanics, fewer electricians, fewer doctors, fewer teachers, because people can use AI. Well, that's not good when you have a population of 8 billion? We need jobs. Okay, there's things we need to do. There's even farm equipment that are unmanned, that are now, they're using drones for things. It's a worry. It's a worry. And people are getting pretty ticked off because they are training their AI replacement. So you're hearing, the Wall Street Journal talks about this, where many workers are being told, you need to use the AI platform. And the AI platform that these employers are using is getting training off of the workers that are eventually going to be replaced. Now, I don't want workers going to work, say, well, to hell with this. I'm going to destroy the computers, and, you're going to just have to deal with me. It's going to happen. It's going to happen, right? Labor costs are too high these days. It's ridiculously expensive to have staff. And so, unfortunately, the big push in the industry right now is to how to do things as cheaply and inexpensively as possible. And what's also interesting that I noticed as a business owner, and a lot of you guys have noticed this too. So let's say you have a business and you hire an employee. All right, okay, we got the labor costs, you got that. Okay, now that employee could call out sick, so you want to have another employee in case that person calls out. You also have vacation time, things like that. Okay, well, let's get a few more employees. Well, let's get workers' comp insurance. So workers' comp insurance wants to know, but how many employees do you have? The more employees you have, the higher the rate. All right, okay, well, we're hiring more employees. Okay, so now you have a higher rate. All right, well, what about your taxes? Well, you have payroll taxes. And for every employee, not only are you paying that employee, but you're also paying those taxes. And then Obamacare in '09 mandated employers pay for your health insurance. So now the employer's like, well, wait a second. If I have this many employees and I have to pay this much health insurance, what if I have fewer employees and I could pay then less? And so if you start to look at what the society does to business, the more employees you have, the more you have to pay. And remember, we spoke about this in '09, how what companies were doing is they were looking at that cutoff of how many numbers of employees before they have to pay their health insurance or not. And so people were firing employees so they could get under that number. Well, how is that helping society? And so for the last 20, 30 years, maybe even longer, business owners have been basically punished for having more staff. And so they have had to figure out ways to do things with less staff. Well, if every business is doing that, how do you get work? Now, I was with one of my former students. We were at one of the restaurants eating, and all of a sudden this machine comes up to us, and the machine has our food. But I want ranch dressing with my fries, so I asked the machine, I go, can I get ranch? And the machine didn't answer. And so the waiter ran across the restaurant saying, I'll get you ranch. Because I thought, okay, well, now we got a robot. I guess I'm supposed to talk to the robot. I look like an idiot, but I wanted ranch. That's why I like having food servers. I was a waitress. Because I'll serve the food. I'm like, guys, is this everything you need? But what do you need to enjoy? You need A1 sauce. You need, extra salt. Why? Because I was in medical school at the time. Like, you don't need extra salt. My boss is like, they want extra salt. Give him extra salt. I go, yeah, but it's not healthy. So I mean, you talk to people, and so Wall Street Journal has a really good article talking about how many employees do not understand that, or they do understand and they're not happy about that they're basically training their replacement. And so, okay, so what do? We all know that AI is a looming threat. So how do you prepare now? We've spoken about this, and I'm learning as I go, okay? Because we don't have all the answers, especially for those of us that spent years in education and spent even more in money, for our student loans and all that. And so, how do you know if you have a job that could be replaced with AI? Well, one, take a job. Look at, what some of the biggest companies or some of the most, ahead of the curve companies are doing. And if they are, having you incorporate AI into what you do, there is a very good chance that AI is learning off of you and can, and so, for those of you that don't think it's a threat, good. I mean, maybe we're all panicking, but for those of you who do, you need to then do your research and go, what can I do that could allow me to still get income and not be replaced? People think, well, the government will pay us. I'll still be able to eat. I don't know. I wouldn't count on that. If none of us could get jobs, or the majority of us can't get jobs, I don't think the government has enough money. And the more you print money, the more expensive things are. I mean, look, even with food stamps, people are saying their food stamps isn't enough. And that's why we're saying, well, just use it for real healthy food. Don't use it for soda and other things, because soda is now $2.99 a 2 liter. Don't be spending it on that. Just spend it on good food, because, the money is capped. There's only so much that government can do to feed people. And so, look at what you can do. And if you can work with your hands, if you could monetize something that you could do, if you could work multiple part-time jobs, this way, if you lose one, you have something, because the rate at which these companies are doing AI is still not going to be even. And so if you really, really love your job and you think AI is going to screw me over, start getting that side gig. Come up with a business idea. A lot of business ideas are now apps and software and things like that. Maybe look into something like that. Write books, sing, entertain. I mean, people are going to incorporate AI, but then they're going to kind of get sick of it. I'm watching these commercials where it's AI made. And I'm like, I'm watching a cartoon. I'm not entertained by it. I don't like it. No, I really like those Bradley Cooper Uber Eats commercials. I mean, I think they're a little dumb, but seeing Bradley Cooper argue with Troy Aikman, I like that. Now, that ad is expensive, but there's going to be a demand of, we want real people. We don't want AI. Another thing, and I keep saying this, is start downsizing. You're not going to want a mortgage or high rent when the apocalypse happens. If you are in a 3,000 square foot home and you could do fine in 1,500 square feet, get your butt into a smaller, a smaller residence. Get rid of as much debt as possible, because debtors aren't going to care that, AI took over your job. Look at what you spend on. If you don't need 7 streaming services, start cutting that down. Find ways for families to move in together. And I know, but there's strength in numbers. 1-877 Doc Dolly. Don't go away.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
diesel fuel cetane levels.
in many states, the cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts. Due to a cleaner burn, there are less hydrocarbons and particulate matter in your exhaust. This reduces the blockage of your diesel particulate filter. Using Diesel Extreme generates 83% less DPF regeneration. The 6-in-1 Diesel Extreme formula also includes the most concentrated detergent on the market, lubricity enhancer, water demulsifier, rust and corrosion inhibitors, and a fuel stabilizer.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
We are back on the Dr. Dolly Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Doc Dolly, 1-877 DOCDALI. So this weekend I was really busy seeing patients, and I had a few that were pretty. These people incurred some really, really bad trauma to them. One had multiple burns on their body, skin torn off. One had fallen on a fire grill, tripped and fell over the weekend. I also saw somebody who burned themselves and most of the skin on their hand was gone. And the first question I have is, when this happened, did you go to the ER? And they said, no, I'm calling you, because it's a telemedicine company. And, maybe they're hoping that we can give a cream or a medication or teach people how to manage it at home. But unfortunately, if you sustain a burn to your hands, feet, face, genitalia, or a large part of your body, or something beyond partial thickness and beyond, we have to get you to burn care. We used to call it first degree, second degree, third degree burns, fourth degree burns. First degree burns were like a sunburn. Second degree burn is where you blistered. Third degree burn is where you killed nerves. You burned so deep that you lost a lot of your tissue and nerves. And fourth degree burns are like down to the bone. Now we have partial thickness and full thickness. We've kind of changed some of that thinking or some of that verbiage. And so I'm noticing we had a broken leg. I don't get to see what you guys get to see. I only get to see from the doctor's side. And there was a mom who called in where her child had chest pain. And this was going on now for over a week. And so I asked, has anybody have they seen the doctor yet? And they said, didn't think it was serious enough for that. What can you do over the phone? And so I know from a patient standpoint, like my insurance says I could go to telemedicine for $0 copay. Yet if I decide to go to a doctor, I have to shell out $45 for a primary care doctor. If I go to an urgent care or ER, that could be hundreds, and then more. So it's kind of telling me, go use the telemedicine company first. Right? The problem is time is of the essence. We have only hours to help you if you're having a stroke. And if you don't understand that you're having a stroke, that's a problem, especially if you've been waiting an hour or two to get a telemedicine phone call. The company I work for is fantastic, MD Live. We're pretty quick, but I'm hearing from some of these other companies, they're waiting an hour or two to get somebody to call them. Time is of the essence. If you burn yourself and you're like, you know what? I think I'm good. I'm just going to wrap it up. It's nighttime. No, a burn kills the layers of the skin that the fire or the heat touches. And so if that can't be salvageable, that skin, we need to remove it and allow new healthy skin to grow. And it's a multiple visit process to get skin to grow. If not, we sometimes have to graft skin. And so I had another patient who had a major laceration, major cut. And I go, did you, no judging, but did you consider going in to get stitches? Well, it was at night and the urgent care was closed. See, I mean, before COVID, you cut yourself badly, you'd then go to the ER and get sewn up. Now it's, well, if the place is closed, then I guess, it's okay. I'm given a mulligan, and then I could just wait to address it the next day. Well, by the next day, we have to repair you within 12 hours. If not, granulation tissue is starting to grow. You can't close the wound appropriately. Infection has set in. When you cut yourself or you burn yourself and you have open skin, bacteria and pathogens and dirt get into it pretty quickly. So we numb you up, we clean it, irrigate it really, really well. Then we close it and repair it. And then sometimes we'll also give antibiotics. That's a process that has to be done immediately. You wait 12 hours, too much has already settled in and gotten in there. And then now sometimes we have to debride whatever healthy tissue started. It's a process. So where did we go from I cut myself and I'm going to go and get it fixed to I'm going to wait and use telemedicine? What happened? Well, one is insurance made going into a doctor extremely, extremely expensive. Number two is people aren't actively seeing their provider, so they don't know that you have to get this wound repaired right away. See, for me, I always knew that if you cut yourself, you had to get stitches right away. That's what they said in the 70s and 80s. Okay, you got to get stitches right away. I don't think people have that soundbite in their head. You cut yourself, stop the bleeding, and eventually talk to a medical provider. Where did that thinking come from? You cut yourself, time is of the essence. We got to sew you up. You burn yourself, especially to the hands, face, feet, genitalia, or a large area of your body. You got to get to burn care. You got to get to an ER. That's I just thought that was common thinking. But we have a do-it-yourself attitude now. Because of YouTube, because people teaching each other and doctors wanting to make money going, okay, yeah, I'm going to teach you how to do things yourself. People have asked, they go, Dr. Dahlia, you would make, a lot more money than you do, because you don't make a lot of money in radio, if you taught people how to take care of themselves at home. I don't want to do that, because how I was trained, you try to sew yourself up or glue in a non-sterile environment and not going through the process that needs to get done. The reason why I had such amazing patient outcomes isn't because I was a good doctor. It's because how I was trained, you didn't do anything off protocol. Well, have your wife hold the wound together and have your kid take glue. No, that's not what no. So I'm seeing more and more, patients now having higher stage cervical cancer, higher stage colon cancer, growths, skin lesions. I'm starting to see a lot more melanoma. And I'm like, when was your last physical exam? And what did your doctor think of that the last time? You said you had this for years. Well, I haven't seen a doctor in years. And I'm not being passive aggressive when I ask that. I mean, I'll just ask, when was your last physical? When was your last, and I'm assuming at that physical, a proper exam was done. But now the doctors are at fault. Because patients are like, yeah, I went in. The doctor never even touched me. I have not had a doctor listen to my heart in years. Really? but you went in for a physical. They didn't touch me, doc. Now, is it because of the lawsuits where doctors are getting accused of groping patients? Is it because doctors feel, you know what, if you have a heart problem, I'll just send you to a heart doctor? I don't know why doctors aren't examining the hearts to the same numbers as we all did. You got in trouble as a medical student. If somebody came in for something that had to do with their foot and you didn't examine them properly, why? Why did we have to examine the heart if somebody had an issue with their foot? Because if they needed surgery or something that had to be done with their foot, we can't do surgery if you have a cardiac issue. You're supposed to know the health of your patient. And I love telemedicine being available for people who don't have access to doctors. I love them being able to talk to a doctor and be directed. But there's a big misstep. There's something going wrong when people are not getting the care they need. And then when I tell them, you can't get stitches over 12 hours, in most cases, we can't treat this burn online, they look shocked. This mom with the child with the chest pain was really shocked that I had suggested that her child go get examined. And I understand we're able to use telemedicine and AI and YouTube videos to do so much these days. My husband was able to fix his toilet using a YouTube video. But I think we need to educate people on when, telemedicine is appropriate, when an urgent care is appropriate, when ER is appropriate. And I think a lot of people will then hopefully get immediate care when they need it. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY. Dr. Dahlia here. Are you tired, burned out, gaining weight, succumbing to the daily pressures of life? Well, how's your dopamine doing? How you feel right now, how you'll feel an hour from now, and how you'll feel next week is completely reliant on your dopamine. Our daily motivation and willingness to push through challenges depends on the intricate chemical process dopamine provides. Christian Kalikas and I created Deploying Dopamine, a book that tells you what dopamine is, when it dysfunctions, and how to successfully deploy it when needed. Find Deploying Dopamine on Amazon today. Check it out.
Thought you'd like to buy and sell houses but didn't know how or where to get the money? My name is Ron LeGrand, and over the past 40 years, I've bought over 3,000 houses without using my money or credit and taught thousands to do the same. Today, even in a virtual environment, we buy nice houses in nice neighborhoods using no banks, realtors, contractors, or other costly entanglements, and build huge cash flow and wealth without the hassle of tenants, all without credit and little or no money. You don't need a license or experience, and I'll show you exactly how it's done. Text FREE to 99799 and I'll send you my free training. I promise you I'll change the way you think about real estate and open the door to a new lifestyle that doesn't involve risk or rehabs and can quickly replace your current income. Text FREE to 99799 and let me show you how to take your life back and build cash flow and wealth from your home. That's FREE to 99799. Again, FREE to 99799.
As an organ donor, your story doesn't have to end. The good in you can live on. In fact, you could save up to 8 lives and restore sight and health for many more. Sign up right now online as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. You'll be happy you did. And just maybe, someone else will be happy too. Go to organdonor.gov. It saves lives. U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
We're back on the Dr. Dahlia Show, 1-877-DOC-DOLLY, 1-877-DOC-DALI. Nancy Guthrie, 84-year-old woman, mom of Savannah Guthrie, still missing. This case is now we're going into week 3. And the latest updates include that black glove that was found, I think about a mile and a half away from her home, is undergoing DNA forensic analysis. The family has been cleared the family has been interviewed and cleared. They are not suspects, including a son-in-law, not suspects in the Guthrie missing. And, there was, I guess, another, search warrant and inspection that happened on Friday Nancy Guthrie's home in a neighborhood north of Tucson, Arizona. And I guess, still not much in terms of ransom notes going to TMZ and other possible evidence being found. We're just not, and it's kind of shocking because, they could find Tom Brady's jersey when it was stolen, right, in Mexico the next day. They were able to find that pretty quickly. But this is kind of baffling. And as I said before, a woman who's 84 years old who requires a pacemaker and daily medications. It's sadly not looking good, unless whoever abducted her packed all her medications and has plenty for the next month or two, let alone an ability to communicate with her cardiologist. I'm nervous about this, very, very nervous. And she was last seen 9:45 p.m. on January 31st. They found blood by her in the front of their house. And again, that was something that kind of was a little confusing. God forbid she had fallen and cut herself. But, to abduct an 84-year-old woman doesn't take a lot of scuffling and strength. I mean, I'm sure she could pack a punch, but, maybe she could draw some blood, but why her blood? Did they, and so, what injuries did they have to incur on her to get her, unless they wanted her unconscious to carry her out? But I was kind of intrigued by that. And that's not a good sign, knowing that you have an 84-year-old woman who sustained some sort of trauma and lacerations. Not good. You have a lot of amateur now detectives, and some of them could do pretty well, like that Stanley kid that was looking at the Minnesota fraud that had to do with daycare. So, when something goes on this long, it's interesting how you have a lot of bystanders that say, I know they're trying to make a name for themselves and they're making their own videos and podcasting and all that, but it's interesting how some of them, we don't want them to interfere with law enforcement and what they need to do. Like we learned from Minnesota, stay away from law enforcement. You don't want to get involved and get in their way. Protest separately and be in a safe area. Never intervene in the middle when there's, guns and, let law enforcement do what they need to do and keep a safe distance. And we don't want them to contaminate any crime scenes. But now that we're looking at week 3, you wonder if the Guthrie's family is like, look, all hands on deck. This is, and Savannah Guthrie, in these videos keeps saying, look, it's never too late. I mean, how awful to think that a family member could be struggling or gone. It's horrifying. And it's even more horrifying to think all the victims that are out there that aren't related to a celebrity. And, how much it takes in terms of resources to try to get them back and how many people, are still gone or abducted or trafficked. So the Pima County Sheriff's Department is still asking for tips. Go to the FBI tip line at 1-800-CALL-FBI or the Pima County Sheriff's Department tip line 520-351-4900. That's 520-351-4900. In the meantime, a California neighborhood wants to stop crime in their neighborhood. And they actually were able to do so, putting up cameras, putting up signs. And from what I understand, these 22 signs that neighbors put up in Valley Glen in the San Fernando Valley included infrared license plate readers and video recorders. They said they had a spate of break-ins by, quote, South American gangs, according to the New York Post. So they, in their neighborhood, put up 24/7 security cameras. According to Debbie Stopek, one of the neighbors, she told the California Post there were 26 incidents of break-ins between November 2024 and April 2025. Once they erected the equipment, that all stopped. The 65-year-old retiree said, we're taking back the streets. We are taking back the power. Last year, my neighbor's teenage daughter was too scared to go to school because their home was broken into. Everything was stolen from them. She said, now we have kids who are happy to be outside and play on the streets. We went from a high level of crime in 2025 to 0 once we got these camera and warning signs installed. All right, so you're thinking, okay, wait a second. I mean, this could really, really help future abductions, this could be great. No. In California, that's illegal. They're being told to take them down. Now, the residents say the criminals need to know they're under surveillance, and when they come into our neighborhood, the signs make them think twice. It's a barrier, like a layer of an onion. You want those barriers. But local officials with the LA Department of Transportation said no. Signs installed on city utility poles break city codes and are illegal. Now, can they post these signs on their houses? Homeowners associations may not allow it. Yeah, I think I'm allowed to have like a small security sign, but I can't have something like they're using. I think the homeowner association won't allow it. But in this particular case, Stopeck said that LA Mayor Karen Bass and California Governor Gavin Newsom should step in and help them. She said, I would love to hear from Bass or Newsom, but I haven't heard from anybody yet. I would tell them how I solved the problem. I worked for 36 years for the state of California, and I was a problem solver. Good for her. So, seeing neighbors say, look, we're going to protect our neighborhood. And it's going to help law enforcement because we're going to have the license plate scanners. We're going to have the cameras. Now, I know, I'm sure somebody's going to be like, well, I want privacy. I don't want to be on camera. But if it's a neighborhood that's getting hit and attacked and you risk abduction, rape, kidnapping, I think neighbors should have a right to be able to put cameras up. And, I tell people all the time, put up a beware dog sign. I mean, it's just an extra layer. I remember when I was getting my CCW for the very first time, and I was kind of young and naive. I remember asking, because they were saying, using these guns or, putting bars on your windows, they're barriers and criminals want easy access. I go, why can't I just put a sign up saying, we got guns and we'll use them? They said, well, you can't, obviously, and I feel stupid for asking that question. But he's like, people want to steal guns. So you also don't want to advertise that you got, an arsenal or whatever. Or you don't want people thinking that, okay, they'll get some good stuff in your house. I have to admit, a lot of the break-ins have changed from it used to be people would steal VCRs and DVD players. Now that people stream, and people have like larger TVs that are heavy. Now it's more about medications, jewelry, cash. I wear costume jewelry, so there's nothing there, and I never really seem to have cash. And if you want to steal my Netflix, receiver or whatever that is for my cable, go right ahead. But you're not going to get much. And we don't have any medications unless you want hemorrhoid cream and vaginal estrogen. I mean, and so what are these people looking for? And I think deterring criminals is in our right. And if a neighborhood is working together, apparently these cameras cost about $220 per year for each family. Yeah, a little pricey, but to prevent getting broken into, may be worth it. 1-877-Doc-Dolly, don't go away.
Can you believe, with all the recent violent protests, looting, and destruction, some areas are considering either defunding or abolishing the police? At a time when America's neighborhoods need the protection of police the most, some elected officials would rather create more chaos by playing politics. If you're sick of elected officials caving in to demands of the radical left, you're not alone. It's time we stand up and declare our support for local police. The majority of police officers are important partners in protecting our God-given rights. If you prefer freedom over chaos, then learn how you can help protect the local police that serve your community. Call today and request your free Support Your Local Police info packet. Dial 800-JBS-USA-1. That's 800-JBS-USA-1. Request your free Support Your Local Police info packet by calling 800-JBS-USA-1 today.